Good evening, everybody. Welcome. A bit of a night with a difference tonight. Normally, where we would have a guest, we would be seeing that guest now. And ta-da! We haven't. So I'm just waiting for a few people to join the room. Welcome. See people coming into the room. Welcome to our Lyceum evening. Just saying, normally we would have a guest. I had two guests that I'd approached. One is being unfaithful with me with another church president. I'm just so hurt. Hello, Phil. And the other one's been working very, very hard over the last couple of days, and the heat has taken its toll. So, not to abandon everybody, we'll just have an evening, an open mic night. We normally start off with a topic or a thread or hear from our guests, but with the absence of that, I'm handing over to you wonderful people out there to bring up any of the topics that you would like to hear about, discuss, or thoughts, all relating to spiritualism. Usual house rules: no biting, spitting, or swearing. Oh no, that's for the congregation. Joking. We do not name individuals or organizations. We just enter into things in the area of debate. So while we're waiting for people to start, I'll start the ball rolling. You have probably noticed the advertising for the rally day here down at Poole. Now, I'm not doing this as a self-promotion. It's just an interesting topic. Quite a few people have said, why? What is the point of this? You know, what are you doing? Where's the mediumship? Don't ask me that, please. You know, what is this all about? Well, if we go back in our history of our movement, we used to have big rallies. And I know we touched on this quite a while ago, and I think it was with Ashley Robinson, if I remember. But there would be really big rallies, and there'd be places like in the Albert Hall, you know, and you would fill the place. People would come from all over the country and Europe to join in with that, just celebrating what spiritualism is about and hearing talks. Hello, Tim. How are you, sir? And hearing talks about various aspects of spiritualism. There's a far greater understanding about the movement back then than there is now. So this time, although none of us wanted to be here, we are, and we're all making the most of it. And ourselves here at Poole and many other people are taking these opportunities to do broadcasts like this, where we're talking with people, discussing thoughts and ideas on our wonderful movement of spiritualism, and really engaging with each other. And it's sort of like we're going through this revival time where people are actually getting that, this is interesting, you know, I have thoughts, I have questions, and I'm being given that opportunity now to share, ask, and hear others' thoughts and opinions. So with the rally down here at Poole, we've got a wonderful lineup. I would say that anyway, but I say it because I really mean it. We have wonderful Elaine Bevan talking on the history of spiritualism, Brian Walker talking on healing, Stephen Mager talking about science and spiritualism, Leonard Tatt, who will be talking on the philosophy of spiritualism, and that will be rounded off by who else but hearing from spirit through the wonderful trance mediumship of Mark Stone. So great day and I'm forecasting the energy is going to be bouncing off the walls. But what's your thoughts out there? Do we do enough to promote spiritualism as a whole within our movement? You know, are there places where we could maybe up our game a bit and improve what we do and how we approach things, or you're quite happy the way it is. Other things, this time, we're going through these constantly changing energies and everything going on. Very interesting, the things. But one of the things currently going on is I'm seeing that demonstrations of mediumship in person are being hit in attendance numbers. Now, what's your thoughts on that? Have we had enough of them? Or is there, with the abundance now, I dare say, what time is it? 7 o'clock. If I were to flick through just Facebook, just one social media platform, I would probably find 15, 20 dems of mediumship started or starting up within the next hour. So, yeah, thoughts on that. So it's just nice open mic talk, bring to the table whatever can be related with what we just spoken about, or your own thoughts. So, yes, good evening, Jack. When I said earlier on, one of my proposed guests for tonight is being unfaithful with me with another church president, I am referring to you, Mr. Jack. Have a lovely night, Jack. Mark Cassidy, yeah, interesting. We do hear this a lot. And please, no offense meant here. When I was 13, 14, I remember hearing then, we need younger people in our churches. Today, we're still saying the same. But what are we doing about it? Where are the opportunities? Where are the lost leaders in encouraging younger generations? Do younger generations want to attend churches and centres, or would they, here's a thought, would they prefer the philosophy of spiritualism being taken out into the gatherings, when we look at music festivals and the like? Have we ever seen us stand there promoting spiritualism and spirituality? There, oh, now you've done it. Guess where I'm going to be next year? At Glastonbury. But yes, we do, and that's quite a generic phrasing as well. Encourage more younger people into the movement if possible. On all levels, not just attendance, but the mediums and the people who'll be running the churches and centres and events of tomorrow, the circle leaders of tomorrow. We've got some marvellous people around at this time. It is a bit sad when we hear about the greats of the past, and yes, they were great in the past, and there's many, many a wonderful tale to be heard about things that happened. However, I firmly believe that in today's movement, there are some amazing people, and these are the people who will lovingly be called the greats of the past in another 30 years. But we've got to try and ensure that there's people there to keep this going, keep this alive. Is there a risk of spiritualism following the American model in the UK, where you don't have, obviously the US is bigger geographically, so distances to us may seem vast, to them maybe not so vast, but where you would see just a sprinkling of churches and centres around. And then in the bigger towns and cities, they have what they call the shop front psychics, where you can walk down the town, you can go past butcher, baker, candlestick maker, and the psychic. Is that something? Tim Abbott, thank you, sir. Last Saturday there was a large rally at the Arboretum in the Midlands by spiritualists. It's called the Peace Walk. There was approximately 50 people there, and started with a service, and then on the march to the obelisk that symbolises spiritualism made him proud to be a spiritualist and to attend. That's wonderful, Tim. Why don't we hear about that? That's news to me, and believe you me, I'm on the internet quite a lot. But yeah, that is great. It's taking spiritualism out of the churches and centres and bringing it more to the public eye. And there's something we really, really need to work on and consider ways of doing it. But going back there to Mark's statement, what are your thoughts out there about younger people? Are we encouraging younger people? Quite often we say we need to do it, when in actual fact we may find out that many places are doing it. So, Mark, here we go. Fiona brings in an interesting point. The youngsters love music and food and socialising. Good point. So, the format of a church or centre service may be needing to look at, or separate events. We had the Psychic Ploughmans here, and we sold out 60 tickets and people loved it. And as a taster session for people to see mediums working, it worked very, very well. But we also then need to be on our mettle to provide the backup to that, and not fall foul of where I believe some places have gone, where that becomes the norm, but with no substance to it. And when I say that, I mean there's no opportunity there to grow and develop and to bring in educational events as well. So yeah, Fiona, very good. Ricky Whitemore, we're very young at Newton Abbot. We have lots of people in their 20s and 30s, hardly anyone apart from Ricky over 70. Yeah, that is great. And I know you have quite a good education program down there with opportunities for spiritual unfoldment through the various circles that you run. So yeah. So what's your secret, Ricky? Well, how has that happened, or has it just happened? Is it the demographic of your area? Interesting to hear. Sam Nurse, what's the significance of demonstrations in spiritualism? Sorry, mean no offense, but find them much less interesting than Lyceum evenings. Well, thank you, Sam. Thank you. The evidential mediumship is spiritualism's way of actually proving what we believe in. And when I say proving, I don't mean 100% undeniable, but there is that substantial evidence that if you were to weigh it up as a court case, you would eventually come out with the proven ruling against it. So yeah, demonstrations very firmly have a place, but like all things, in balance, in my humble opinion. It is part of what we do. It is not our whole energy and whole essence. So where are we? Mark Cassidy. If younger mediums were seen on the circuit, it may encourage their peers to attend. Do you feel that too many older mediums should be hanging up their halos? Two separate things there. Yes. An interesting thing as well. It's not just the visual. Here's one you can chew over. It's not just the visual presence of the medium. When you see younger mediums working, it's not just the fact they're young, it's also the fact that they will talk in the language of today. When I was taking out mediums with me to work who got as far as they would in circle, but not quite ready yet to do services on their own, it's a bit of a wilderness, that area in the development. So I was taking out several people with me, introduction to other churches. They could see them work safe, that I haven't given over a whole service, gave them invaluable experience. But I was fascinated hearing their evidence, because they were bringing in things like TikTok and Twitter as part of the evidential trail. And I thought, how fascinating is that? Although I spend a lot of time on social media, it's not in my energy that much. And it's not something I'm picking up on. So yeah, the younger mediums are also revitalizing the voice of spirit. So, and also my generation, we tend to be with the more what we understand again of my generation, the established family of Auntie Vi and Grandma and things like that. Well, grandmas today and going forward are going to be riding motorbikes and have tattoos and piercings and things. So yeah, we need that younger input there to pick up on that energy with their own toolbox. Hello, lovely Heidi. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Phil Shaw. I think younger people prefer more interactive discussion around spiritual subjects, with spiritualism being taken into the community. Music, creative art, sound therapy, etc. based events in centres and outside our churches. The word church often deters young people. Yeah, that is again, this is like we need younger people in our movement, cry. The word church turns people off. I don't get it myself. I sincerely don't. And before anybody starts, I know some people have suffered at the hands of organised religion. I do understand that. But in the main, I find it a very strange phenomena that we see quite a few churches being converted into centres. And quite often the first thing done to celebrate that is hold a divine service with a couple of ministers of that organisation conducting it. I just think, hang on. I struggle with that. I think the word church, yes, like any word, will drum up connotations with people, but it's what they find inside the doors. That's the thing. I've, as a serving medium, where I'm going around other churches, I have my own thoughts and impressions on the style of the services that are being held, and some of them really, would not, as a newcomer, if that was my first impression, I wouldn't be in any hurry to come back. And other places I go in and I just think, you know what, I love this. That's me, that's my thinking. Somebody stood next to me would have exactly the reverse thinking. They may find what I find a little bit dry as comforting, and where I find a bit engaging and with humour and levity, maybe they would find that as disrespectful. So it's very, that's one of those ones I think we need to put on the side and have a look at later. So, but I like the thought there, Phil, about taking things out. And you mentioned like sound therapy, gong bars, crystal bowls, things like that. Great. And we are seeing a lot more of that within the movement of spiritualism. I do feel, though, that in some cases, are we losing sight of the divine thread that runs through? We have all these various practices coming in under the name of spiritual, which are wonderful, which are interesting. I have a great interest in shamanic practices. I have a great interest in sound therapies. But at the end of the day, I'm a spiritualist. And I apply what I know as a spiritualist to these subjects when I examine them. Are we at risk in some places of making whatever discipline the nadir, the high point, the thing that we've got to focus all our energies on without bringing in that balance opinion? So yeah, Judy Caswell, lovely, wonderful womble. I don't know if this is just London-wide, but they have open house where historic local buildings are open to the public. If your church or centre has any history, maybe they could take part. Could be a way of getting people in. Lovely idea, Julie. And certainly, yeah, if you've got a great history, and I know going certainly up to the Midlands, there are some wonderful historical value buildings up there. One other aspect there is, as I say, getting in touch with maybe universities. Are we failing to do that? And especially, it's about September, isn't it, when it's Freshers Week? Is there a missed opportunity there during Freshers Week to put on an evening, especially for students coming into town and just saying, hi, we're here, this is what we're about. You're here, first time away from home, you're going to party, have fun, but also, you might need somewhere where you just want to go. Interesting. Lovely. Tim, years ago, was involved with a committee called Spirit of Youth. It was a branch of the SNU. Sadly, now it has been disbanded. I've heard quite a few things about the Spirit of Youth, and like you, Tim, it is sad that these things got disbanded. Just working with spirit, we know that the spirit energy is progressive, it's ever moving, it's not just of the time, it's ahead of its time. It's us that needs to catch up with them half of the time. But sadly, in some areas of our movement, that movement seems to have either ground to a snail's pace or completely stalled. We are, we're all over 21 here. We are going to see these recessionary times bite deeper and deeper into our whole life. Everything within our life is going to be affected by it. I think we've got to, as churches and centres, really sort of like look at what we're doing and go, well, can we continue as we are? Will we survive? If we were just getting by before COVID, you're probably operating at a loss now. And then take on board some changes. It's a bit of a forced evolution on people. And I don't like saying this, but, it is going to be a case of really you have to evolve. If you do not evolve, the chances are you're not going to be here this time next year. So, yeah, we've got to share thoughts, ideas about what we can be doing. How many churches and centres are used, say, 3 times a week? So maybe 6 hours in total out of a week of 7 days. What are other opportunities for that premises to be used here? What else can be encompassed and in keeping with what the churches and the centres are about, but also earning an income from that to keep the place going. Anyway, Sharon Rickman, we need different visiting mediums. Now that movement is allowed, different philosophy and views. Very true, Sharon. And we are seeing, I don't know if this is, no, it's not actually, because I've spoken to a few other people in the UK. We're seeing a great loss of mediums to the pools of mediums that towns and cities had. There's quite a number of mediums who have stepped back. So we do run that risk of being repetitious, especially where you've got 3 or 4 churches close together. You've got to look at the programs and the schedules and make sure it's sort of like week 1 at one church is week 2 at another church is week 3, and just being repeated. So, yeah, we do need different visiting mediums. We've also got to look at why do we employ a medium? Do we want to do continual evidence? Those of you that are aware of things here at Paul Church, several of our services now do not employ an evidential medium. That was brought in on a few energies. Firstly, in acknowledgement of there aren't the mediums out there to call on anymore that used to be there. Excuse me. And secondly, to give the opportunity for growth and education with people. When I first proposed a healing service without an evidential medium, somebody actually said to me, well, you won't get anybody in. We had 48. We're very good at doing that, aren't we, as a species? And no matter what, when we're coming even out of spiritualism, no matter what it is, we say, I'm going to do that. Well, you won't do that, it won't work. Or No, you can't do that because of, stop being negative. If it doesn't work, great. Go back to where it stopped working and try again. But definitely, yeah, we are looking for more, in my opinion, more engagement from our speakers within our churches. And it's a fine balancing act, isn't it? Is where do we stop being educators and start becoming entertainers? I had a talk with a medium who is known, and there were comments made to this person about they need to be more funny in their work. And I was just like, what? I'm just like, really? Where's that come from? So yeah, but yes, Sharon, yes. Sam, more charity initiatives, volunteering opportunities for young people. Oh, we like that. I like that. So how could that manifest? We could do luncheon club. If you haven't got your own cooking facilities, you can get around it by organising with catering suppliers. So you need people to set the room up and be there serving out food, clearing up afterwards. Yeah, good idea. Very good idea. Ricky, it's my youthful looks. Really? Ricky, I know you haven't got a home at the moment, but I'm sure you've got access to a mirror somewhere. It's my youthful looks. We play modern music, dress casual, jeans, t-shirts, etc. Don't harp on about the past, and we ask them what they want. Interesting. And from what you're saying, that is working for you. So very good. Very good. Well done. So here we go. Phil Shaw. It's important for the older mediums to adapt to a younger congregation in terms of presentation and relating to this generation in their own speak. In an ideal world, yes. I don't know how we could actually work with that. I really think me stood up on the platform going, "Yo, dude," may not quite come across as genuine. Or what's up? But yeah, I think we need to look at our congregations in our churches and centres and sort of like look at the demographic of those congregation. And are we only appealing to one demographic? Are we only appealing to one age group? Or are we appealing only to the upper age group or only to the younger age group? Do we need to broaden with different evenings or services coming in to appeal to other demographics? Things like, we've touched on this subject before, so we won't go too deep in this one. Children in churches. We've got little... I love this. Sorry, I'm soppy. We've got little chairs and little tables ready in the church here. And if anybody brings youngsters in, out come the little tables and chairs, got colouring books and pencils, and got a big kid running the church. What do you expect? But welcoming in people with children, and making them feel comfortable. And I always think, that works on so many levels, because I always like to think that at some stage of that child's life, they may need to go somewhere. And having had that introduction to a church, it would not be an alien environment to go to. Also, as I've said before, if I turned up at the church doors with a youngster in tow and they went, "No children," well, you've just turned me away as well. Because I certainly won't be going, "Oh, all right, well, I'll get rid of the kid and I'll come back." We'd be like, "Well, okay, that's fine. We don't come in." So, yeah. Fiona Parry Dodd, who snuck in a photo. I was looking at a photo today and I'm like, "That's Fiona in there." As you said before, Laurie, it's not all about platform messages. The youngsters are bringing new thinking, new ways, and communication comes in all ways to support and bring communities together. Indeed, and a very important word you've used there. Thank you, Fiona, for bringing that into the conversation. Communities. When I say about the successes of Paul here, please, I am not being braggy or boastful or any negative connotation. It's just factual. We have got a wonderful community, thriving community feel in this church. And that's brought about by we encourage people to talk. We have other events other than the standard church service. We have a few social. We've got a really good social coming up in September. How's this for a fundraiser? Whose wine is it anyway? It's a wine tasting evening. There are 7 different wines to taste, and there'll be a panel of 3 of us stood there after each wine telling you, oh, you're drinking now a Cabernet Sauvignon, blah, blah, blah. The next person will be saying, actually, no, you're not. You're drinking a Riesling and it's blah, blah, blah. Next person says, well, you're both wrong because actually what you're drinking. It's going to be a fun night. And with a wine tasting night, we're going to have nominated drivers. But it's things like that which bring people in. And it really fills my heart with this church. I can only talk from my experience here. I hear comments like, oh, one of the daughters of one of the older gents was saying, oh, I went out with so-and-so, one of the other ladies in the church the other night. We had a great time. We went and saw a show and saw a few wines too many. And I thought, that's great. That is so nice to hear. You know, that wouldn't have happened had they not met in the church and have that energy of talking and communicating with each other. And I'm just like, thank you. But yeah, big word that, Fiona, community. Not only the community within the church, but integrating yourself within the community of the area of where you are. That is another big aspect of what we do, where we could look at to either enhance or change direction or whatever, or bring in. Lovely, Marion Frisbee. Good evening, my darling. Many coming into spiritual awareness are more for evenings of clairvoyance, the deeper meaning of prayer, praise, and thanksgiving, the widening and deepening of the knowledge through philosophy seem not to be fashionable nor wanted. It seems more about messages and a deeper understanding of the very reason for our life here. I agree absolutely there, Marion. I do. And we've, so, you know, when we look at attendees to our different events, we do see a difference. Again, without any prejudice or any form, any negative thing. In the main, people who attend our demonstrations of mediumship are not people who would attend a church. And vice versa. People who attend churches are, in the main, probably not going to be drawn too much to the dens of mediumship. So it is very interesting, you know, our movement, our religion works on different levels. And there are some people who are just quite happy to have the, and not being disrespectful, the ooh, ah amazement of a message, and that's it, and they go home, gone. Thankfully, there are others who will see, hear, witness these demonstrations and start to think, hang on a minute, is that something that I should be looking at? You know, so DEMs certainly have their place, and mediums who work mainly at the bigger DEMs have my greatest admiration. We've got the wonderful Craig Morris down here later this year in August, and he regularly works the bigger venues, the theatres. And that is, to me, as a working medium, that is really hard energy to work in. It really is. But these people excel in those venues, you know, and it's one of these unquantifiable things if you've had 100 people at your dem, how many people out of that 100 will then go to a church within the next 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, a year? But we just keep knocking. We just keep knocking. So the Dems certainly have a place, and I'm never disrespectful to those mediums that get up time and time and time again to walk out into that spotlight. But the seeds that we're sowing, you know, if we go to the parable of the sower of the seeds, it's very true, isn't it? Some fall on stony ground, some fall on thin ground and flourish and die, but others fall on fertile ground, and that's what we do within our movement. You know, I keep saying to people, as one of my current things is, you know, each and every message is a miracle. You know, that if you've understood and it's been delivered correctly with evidence, not just information. I heard it tonight. I was just flicking through the channels, and I just heard this saying there. Would you understand something, June, as, no, not that. Would you understand Sarah as a name? And I'm just like, what sort of statement is that? Yes. I know Sarah, you know. Our mediums, I've got a lot of work. We're working in a very new time, very new energy, very new approaches. And there is a great need for support, upliftment from the divine in whatever religion, any orthodoxy, it doesn't matter. You know, it's the same light through a different window. But within our movement, we have that wonderful opportunity here to bring that comfort, you know, that resolution, that healing through. But we've got to do this in a deliverable fashion, you know, and not make sometimes a mockery of what we believe in. So, yeah, anyway, there we go. I drifted off there, but thank you, Marion. Ricky Whitemore, sorry, disagree, Phil Shaw. We are a church surrounded by centres and yet arguably get bigger and younger attendances. That is really interesting, Ricky. Not yet had the pleasure to be at your church, although Arisha has booked me in, I think, in November. And if she hasn't told you that, surprise! But so I'm looking forward to getting that and understanding what's going on. You know, why is that happening? Why is that working? I'm great. You know, we've really got to look at how we operate, and we've really got to look at the times that we are in. All after the lockdowns, COVIDs. It was like every other week I had to review different things about what we were doing because, you know, it just kept changing all the time. And even now we are still going through these changes. Our attendances for the services is way up. I'm so pleased with that because, you know, part of our measure of success is we engage very much with the congregation. We present different themes of services throughout the year: Lyceum, healing, divine, family gatherings. So we're constantly keeping that energy going. And it's, as I say, it really is reflecting. When I say this is not proud, boastful, or a fib. We are regularly getting between 40 and 50 for our Sunday morning services. I'm going out serving other churches who are struggling to get into double figures. You know, so yeah, we'll sit down and swap ideas over a steak, Mr. Whitemore. I say that lovingly. All right, it won't be a steak, Ricky, I promise you. Phil Shaw back. Oh, hello, we're on tennis here. That's good. I prefer to stay with church rather than centre, but maybe a hybrid is an option. Oh, yeah, the church universal was a phrase once given by Jesus. So, yeah, And similar to our online works as well. Where are we going with those? Lovely, Jackie Buckton. More evenings like this. Really enjoy. Also think church should stay. Fair enough, Jack. This is one of these things of this time that we can talk. Before it was just ingrained, wasn't it? Turn up church, good morning, how are you? Sit down, enjoy the service, off you go, thank you very much, see you next week. But now we're coming out of that isolation. Funny, isn't it? We went into isolation, but in the isolation, we escaped our own isolation. I'm going to meditate on that one tonight. That's going to be good. But yeah, we suddenly become able to talk with people, share thoughts and ideas, and even, God forbid, have opposing views, but still remain friends. How beautiful is that? Being facetious there. But yeah, it is good to talk. Good old BT. It is good to talk. And, because so many people are going, oh my God, I'm so glad somebody else thinks that because I thought I was nuts. Or, oh, I never knew that. That's interesting. Tim Abbott. In the history of spiritualism, many pioneers worked very, very hard to get spiritualism recognized and approved as a religion. Why are we now... Sorry, I got a froggy here. Why are we now trying to run away from that by denying our places of worship as churches? Here. It's something I've noticed, and I notice odd things, so if nobody else has noticed, don't worry. It's just me. It's just Lawrence. But something I have noticed in a lot of this talk about churches v centres is actually hearing a really good, valid, solid, underpinning reason why. It's all, we do tend as a whole in our movement and in the running of our churches and centres to actually listen to the negative opinions and not acknowledge the silent majority. And I've noticed that many occasions, not just here in previous incarnations, of the church, not of me, but in other places as well. I've been contacted by other churches and centres over this time because of this ability now to talk. And invariably where people are meeting resistance to change or whatever in their church or centre, you can narrow it down through the conversation to it's less than 5% of the congregation are the ones who are creating the issue. And it's like, so why are you making everything fit around them? What about the other 95%? What do they think? So yeah. Really good point, Tim. Thank you, sir. I hadn't thought of it in that energy, but that makes absolutely perfect sense. Yeah, we fought for years to become a religion. Now we're fighting to hide it. Yeah, that is very profound, Mr. Abbott. Thank you. Lovely Julie. Julie. Oh, goodness me. You are busy tonight, everybody. Thank you. I don't think the church bit is the problem with the young. When we have certain mediums at church, a congregation seems to be younger. Julie, I've got bad news for you, love. We are all getting to that age where everybody seems younger, like police, judges, and congregations. Joking. But yeah, I personally think there is a greater awareness of energy out there amongst younger generations. Again, I know I've said this before, but you hear terms like, I like the vibe of that place. And there's some terminologies when they're talking about people and you say, what does that mean? And they go, oh, they don't feel good. And I like that. I find that fascinating, because it's already there in their vocabulary. So, yeah, I think the young are going to surprise us, but we need to match it. We've got mediums coming through now, like Stephen Mager from Portsmouth, very interesting, and works very much on a metaphysical level, which is talking more about energy. And his philosophy or talk, whatever you want to term it as, is incredibly interesting and very relatable to all age groups. So, yeah. Corinne, good evening, my darling. I've just begun to follow this community. I'm 32. I never felt confident enough to engage before. Don't know why. I guess I just wasn't ready. And now I'm ready to follow the path. Well, thank you, Corinne. That is beautiful. And yes, we forget that. I always like to occasionally go back to what I call 1.0. And when we talk about things in our movement, like we talk about circle work. Corinne, my darling, I will use you there as an example, and tell me if I'm wrong, please. But when we've got people like Corinne just coming into our movement, we're there yakking away about circles, and they're going, what the hell is a circle? But maybe don't want to ask, or maybe never had that opportunity to ask. Also, sometimes, sadly, in asking questions, some people go, oh, God, really? And handle it so badly. And I've seen that, and it's awful. So, yeah, we need to go back to 1.0 things. So this is part of the energy of the rally down here, saying this is spiritualism. This is going to give people an idea of what we're about. So we will have people already well versed in spiritualism, but hopefully we will also have a lot of people just interested and want to find out more. So welcome, Corinne. Enjoy the ride. It's going to be fun. And just remember, Corinne, my darling, no question is daft if you don't know the answer, because nobody who talks on any of the subjects online or in our churches knew everything when we first started. All right, so ask away. Why? Why is such a lovely word. Really is. I like why. So. Why? Ricky Whitemore. He's got to go. He's sat on a rock at Dartmoor getting ready for sunset. Right. Okay. This is not hanging upside down from a belfry. Karen Wood, good evening, my darling. Our paths cross again. How are you, sweetie? Churches have always been the foundation of spiritualism, but to keep the doors open, they have got to change the way they run the church. Dual service online and in-person discussion groups and counselling could encourage people. Spot on, Karen. Spot on, my darling. Yeah. As I say, it doesn't matter what it says over the door. It's what's inside that really counts. It really is. One event we have here at Poole, the bereavement group, once a month. Brilliant. It's not mobbed, thankfully. I'm pleased to say it's not mobbed. But as a part of the energy of the church, it's irreplaceable. It really is. It's the church here, and I'm sure with a lot of churches and centres being represented on tonight's edition, they're not just open the doors, come in, sit down, listen to the medium, go home. They actually are a living, vital part of the community. They are a place where people can go to talk, get a bit of advice, help out, or just run away to if the need arises. I know that's not always possible. A lot of our centres and churches are in hired premises. So, it is only that at that time. But yeah, the churches, as I say, and again, this brings back to what Fiona brought into the conversation about community. There's not going to be one format which will suit all churches. Different churches, different areas will have different, abilities and opportunities there. But it's seeking out those opportunities and actively engaging them, and not doing, oh God, this is something, makes me want to run away down the bottom of the garden and cry dibble or something. Well, we did it once, it didn't work. Jesus. Really? Why was that then? Why do you think that might? Yeah, we're really, really going to have to work at what we do. We really are. And we're going to have to look also very deep into, are we allowing that? Are we bringing people in to do things, or are we being a bit insular in the way that we approach our duties? A lot of self-examination time coming up. Fiona, we have been out today on an international cultural event with cross-cultural face. It was of all ages, little chairs and big chairs. Oh, right, I've got you. Little chairs and big chairs, brilliant. Yeah, really good, Fiona. I'd like to ask, was spiritualism represented there? Are we looking at these opportunities to be more part of our communities and not being a little island, which we have been? Those of you who have the unfortunate pleasure of following me on Facebook, you'll see there was a post today, I said about low tech and high tech. I've got a blackboard outside the church, and it says, in our divine services, our divine services consist of prayer, philosophy, healing, and evidential mediumship. Because people walking past churches and centres, it's all right to advertise a divine service or advertise a night of mediumship, but most people haven't got a foggiest idea what you're talking about. What's the divine service? No idea, mate, but it doesn't sound fun. So, are we getting that information out to people? Well, this is what it is. We've got the wonderful ability here at Paul where we stream our services live, where people can watch and they can get from that the presence and what a divine service consists of, what a Lyceum service consists of. Whether they be unable to attend due to distance or through fear or nerves or whatever, at least people can see that. We want to be a little bit more prouder of what we do, I think, and take it outside of the doors. Not keep it just inside the doors. Shh, quick, come in. Take it outside of the doors and actually say what you do. We're having a morning of healing. Healing is, attunement to whatever your description is, and just getting that out there for people, because people are looking for things. Everyone has been shaken by this time and the continuing times. And everyone is looking for a bit of stability, a bit of reassurance, a bit of, community. So, are we getting out there? Are we getting our case out into that public eye enough? So, Corinne, lovely lady, from what I've seen watching online while I've had COVID, is that you don't need to change. Just maybe let the public know it's an open invitation to the church. Also, maybe have a TikTok account, etc., to widen the audience, spreading the word. Thanks, Corinne. Have you been ear rolling on my meetings of late? We social media is getting to that point, though, that it's becoming a full-time occupation, and that's fine. I'm not complaining, but we need people also to join in on this and assist to make it happen. And sadly, you do see in many places that the structure of the governance of these churches and centres actually could be viewed as quite toxic, where people trying to bring in something new are sort of like hissed at by the rest of the committee. I'm not joking. I wish I was, but I'm not joking there. But yeah, social media, we've got to have that social media presence. And social media is a very demanding mistress. There's no point in having an account and putting a post out about once every 4 weeks. You've got to keep on it and on it and on it all the time. Keeping it out there, keeping it relevant, keeping it fresh, keeping it up. Oh, hark at me, the youngster, keeping it fresh. But keeping it relevant to what we do. So, yeah, interesting observation. Thank you, Corinne. I must admit, my knowledge of TikTok is very limited, apart from there's somebody who is a builder, and he puts these tradey videos up where building works go horribly wrong. And I'm a big fan of them because they're really funny. So, yeah, the social media, it is out there. We've got to be on board and with it. So forgive me, just going through the comments here, and thank you. You are very engaging tonight, which is beautiful and wonderful. Goodness. Karen Wood. It's a community that is important, where people feel included and don't worry about going to a church alone after a loss of someone's close. So true. We try here. If somebody comes in, we always make that special effort. And this is something, it's not a diktat from me to the volunteers. It just happens because the volunteers are wonderful people. Anybody new come in, quick tour, toilets are over there, help yourself to water from here, sit over there. And if we know somebody, because we've got some lovely people in the church, and go over and ask them, this lady's new, it's right, she sits close to you. And because you've done that semi-formal introduction, conversation ensues. And suddenly they've come from walking in the door on their own to sitting there making a new friend. So and it's not just through loss why people come to our churches. It is in the main, obviously, it's the nature of the beast. But yeah, people are looking for answers, and as I say, our whole world has been turned upside down and shaken by the ankle. So people are just looking for some sort of sense, some sort of answer, some sort of understanding. But letting people come in, and I've endured this, me going to different places where you walk in, sit down, listen to the service, go out, and nobody's said hello, goodbye, nothing to you. And it's sad. Fiona Rosen. Spiritualism is all new to me since the passing of a close loved one, but I get so much comfort from the church services and meditation, and everyone is so friendly. Well, thank you, Fiona, and our sympathies go out to you on your loss and your bereavement. But we are glad that you are finding, firstly, a little bit of comfort, a bit of healing through the engagement with the churches. And never forget that opportunity there to delve a bit deeper, get some reading in, a little bit more understanding, or not. It's entirely up to you. Entirely up to you. Michaela Brown. Yeah, I agree with Ricky. Have the church, but evolve for everyone. I enjoy the new evolved church centres, plus the internet helps a lot also. Yeah. I must say I agree with you. We've changed, again, reverting back to what I know factually. Here at Paul Church, we have changed the music. We changed the format. And all right, it's not to every, no matter what you do, you are not going to please everybody. Rule number one, in any aspect of life, whatever you do, somebody won't like it. If you try being everything to everybody, you end up being nothing. That is from experience in business, in my book. So we do what we do. And yeah, if there are people who are a little bit unsure, we invite them along on the journey with us, but we don't allow any, I've got to put this so tactfully, This is what we do. Putting it really bluntly, like it or lump it. I don't mean it in that energy, you know. I would never do it in that energy, but this is where we're going as a church. And I've had this conversation with a couple of people. We need to evolve, because if we continue as we were, we'll be shut in 2 years, because I've worked out the finances and we can't exist. It's as simple as that. So yeah, definitely, I believe, big believer in the music. Some of the traditional hymns are absolutely beautiful. I must say, though, I recently went to a service where it was so orthodox. It didn't move me. That was quite interesting. My lack of engagement with it. Because I don't go out and dismiss things and just rubbish. I try to understand why I'm not engaging with it, and it was a really very, very dry, very, very orthodox style service, and I just thought, you know what, it's really not in my energy now. I'm not saying I want to be in there, you know, clown's nose on and beep beep, things like that, being disrespectful, but I do want to be engaged. I do want something different in the music. I don't want to hear bloody Mantovani or something, you know. I want something more. I want to come out uplifted. That's my thing with the church. I want to come out uplifted. I don't want to come out thinking, good God, what was all that about? I want to come out uplifted, not laughing and giggling and half cut drunk. I want to come out uplifted in my soul. And that's what we aim to do here at Paul. So, yeah. Corinne, you beauty. I love you. So what's a circle? That is so good. Thank you, Corinne, because that really, really emphasizes, you know, we talk about getting younger people into our church. Okay, what are we doing about it? You know, we've got to take our mindset back to when we first walked into a church and knew nothing. So what are we doing to engage wonderful people like the lovely Corinne here for that understanding of what is a circuit? Corinne, thank you so much. I'm going to send me a bill. I'll pay you whatever you like, my love, for doing that. That was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, that really highlights, you know, we keep saying we've got to get youngsters into our church. What are we doing about it? How do we tackle? How do we approach people like Corinne? And Corinne, I am not being down on you in any way whatsoever, because you are the absolute epitome of part of tonight's conversation, and it's beautiful. You know, how do we engage and talk with people like Corinne who are going to ask these questions, or maybe not ask them, but what is a circle? You know, we've got to get out of ourselves and go right the way back to the beginning. How do we manage questions like that? Because I think once we really start to think about that, we may then be on the road to engaging with younger generations within our churches. It's all right saying get them in, but we need to put the groundwork in first. So what are you going to do as a church leader, church committee member, centre leader, whatever your title, and somebody asks you, what's a circle? So good. Corinne, beautiful. Thank you. Where are we? Everyone's attending. Yeah, interesting. Fiona, everyone has different reasons for attending community events and will return if they have their needs met. Very true. Not only meeting their needs, but engaging with people and inspiring, you know, something, getting that spark going with people. Hang on. Karen Wood. Maybe spiritualist churches should work together more, listen to each other, and dissolve the barriers to all be one and deliver the philosophy and message from Spirit. Karen, I wholeheartedly agree. I've got to be so tactful tonight. I'm sorry. This is an energy that is ongoing about engaging with other, like many areas, we have clusters of spiritualist churches all up and down our land. And why don't we talk to each other? Why do we compete with each other? That just creases me. Why do we compete with each other? Why have we made it a personal thing? Yeah, really need to work on that energy. Really do. There is so much more to be had by working together. Talking about events that you may have coming up in the year. You've got a medium. Let's face it, this day and age, if you're going to put a medium up for a couple of nights, you can kiss goodbye to anywhere between 150 and 400 quid. We're in a tourist town, and hotel prices are astronomical. 2 nights in a hotel in September in Poole, £250 a night. So, right, I'm going to put on a wonderful night with, I don't know, Tim. There we go. I'll use you, Tim, because you're a lovely man. Put on a night with Tim. So Tim and Jeanette are coming down here. Somebody's just walked across the church. Hello. Tim and Jeanette are going to come down here and do a workshop for us. So we're going to put them up in a hotel for 2 nights. So that's 500 quid. Then Tim and Jeanette are going to want their fees, which is absolutely fine. Absolutely. So you're talking a mega investment of money to have 2 other churches in the area also bringing somebody down from somewhere else and incurring the same sort of expenditure. And you just think, really? Really? So, yeah. Brilliant statement there, Karen. And the answer is in the hands of the people who run the damn churches. To get off their backsides, get out from behind their ego, or whatever it is that stops them talking to the other churches. Whatever happened, 30 years ago, you hear that. Get over it. Get over yourself. Work together. You can share an online calendar. You can have an online calendar for just the churches in the area. Each church has got their login to that calendar. You put your events in there. Other churches can see what's going on. So also, now here's something radical and just made me giggle. We had the wonderful Jack over with Lola from Denmark. I approached other venues. I can't say too much because it'll identify. I approach other venues and say, listen, we've got Jack over from Denmark. He's the head of the Danish Spiritual Association. He would like to do some more services while he's over here other than Paul. Would you be interested in him serving you? Oh, no, it's all right. We've got somebody that night. All right. Okay. I'm not blowing my trumpet or Jack's trumpet here. This is like a one-off opportunity. Do you not think maybe that you could just reorganize a little something? Oh, God, no. Other mediums coming down to Paul from other areas and abroad. In fact, yes, there is a medium coming down in November who will be working at another church while they're down here because they're here, they got the accommodation. The only opportunity probably that church will ever have to have somebody of this caliber to go and work at their church. This church, this time, actually picked up on that and went, oh, God, that would be great, thanks. Other places, oh no, it's all right, we've got somebody. I'm just like, fine, absolutely fine. Anyway, Tim, I think it would be good if we look at some of the positives that have come out of spiritualism. So, example of 25 years ago, if you've not seen a healing room in any hospitals, where today there are many healing rooms in many hospitals. Tim, agree, absolutely. Yeah, it's a human nature thing. And if we were going down that route, I apologize. I do try to remain in a positive energy. But yeah, we have achieved so many things and so much potential. We have so much potential. One of our church healers here took herself away on a weekend course, which then allows her to go into hospitals and deliver spiritual healing. This necessary certification. A, hats off to her for doing that. B, thank you so much, because the lady who has taken those courses will now be coming to Paul to certify the rest of the healers. But C, have I done? I don't know. Anyway, C, again, how awesome is that the NHS recognise spiritual healing as an alternative therapy? You know, how many 30 years ago, good luck with that one. Good luck going in a hospital and going, hi, I'm a Reiki healer, I'm here to help. But yeah, we really have. And through various organizations as well. You know, we are now represented at the Cenotaph, where that wouldn't have happened 30 years ago. We are a recognized religion within the United Kingdom and all that affords. And that's something we need to go back to again. This is nice. Go back to that 1.0 about what are we about? What have we done? You know, whose shoulders are we stood on? When I go up on that platform there to work, or any other platform, I'm always so aware of the shoulders of the people that have gone before, who I'm now stood upon. You know, I'm not getting up there as me and having a good time. I'm there because of the years and years of hard work, dedication, toil, anguish, pain that people have gone through to allow me to work as an evidential medium without fear of recrimination or anything. So yeah, thank you, Tim. And Bennett, oh goodness me, apologies if I'm not catching up with you all, but there's quite a lot of input tonight, which is wonderful. And Bennett, many years ago, a church I used to go to had previously had Lyceum for young children, including some Bible teachings. It was initially a Christian spiritualist church until as a new stepped in, the hymn books were replaced. It divided the church and caused upset. It was then watered down, such a shame. I believe sometimes good old-fashioned hymns are nice. It raises the spirits and vibes, which also helps with the demonstration of evidential mediumship. Break that one down. You know, and when I first started saying about lyceums here, I lost count of the number of sighs that I emitted when people were saying, but a lyceum's for children. I thought, no, it isn't. Please go and look it up on Google before you say that to me ever again. Sadly, in this day and age, childcare, nightmare, absolute nightmare, to have it set up like that. Hence, we have the Lyceum services. And again, children are always welcome. So the old style of Lyceum for young children, absolutely beautiful. Practically nightmare, absolute nightmare. I've got a lovely lady here who's great help, and I call her my leveler because she always talks sense to me. She tells me to stop being an idiot, get out of myself and do it properly. I love her for that. And she runs her own private nursery, and she said once, she said, don't ever even think about it here. She said, because the paperwork alone, you would need a full-timer just to keep on top of the paperwork. So yeah, Lyceums, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Old-fashioned hymns. Yeah, I've got nothing against the old-fashioned hymns at all. We do a nice mix here of the old traditional. We don't call them old-fashioned. We call them traditional. Traditional hymns, sometimes with a new arrangement to it. So it's still the same wordage and the same energy behind it, but it's just sung differently. Then on special occasions and where it demands, yeah, the traditional hymns, you can't beat them. Christmas time, carols, yeah, don't you dare try. You know, I went into a church once where the wordage had been changed to carols, so it was correct. And after the first verse, I just went, I can't stand it. So I just belted out the original version, and I was getting poked in the ribs by somebody I'd gone with saying, don't sing that. I thought, bugger it. That's the one I know, and that's the one I'm singing. But the traditional hymns are beautiful, and there's so many that support and often reflect the energy of the service, be it through the philosophy or anything. So yeah. Daniela, my buddy from Inverness. I feel working on community through Facebook probably works best due to the average age using it rather than TikTok, but maybe worth giving it. I'm right. We'll have a go at TikTok. You will all rue the day you asked me to do that. I tell you, you rue the day. Phil Shaw, thinking about it, more focus on social media from churches may be a very good idea because young people's lives revolve around this, so it's a major source of communication. Indeed, it is. Craig, good evening, sir. Welcome. Looking forward to seeing you in August. Really looking forward to catching up with you. Tim Abbott, you talk about wanting to come out uplifted. Well, why come out at all? What about a sleepover? Don't you start on this? You could have a medium tell stories of the different experiences that they've had over the years and maybe some food, and before you know it will be tomorrow, a sleepover of like-minded people. I did have a lady, and this is no lie, you know what, running a church, sometimes you just stand there and you are totally lost. Even I get totally lost for a response. And she went, we could have sleepovers. And I went, well, that'd be a good idea. She goes, but actually, we should do them skyclad. Well, those of you who are not aware, skyclad is terminology for in the nutty. And just looking at this person who is deadly earnest and serious, and I'm just thinking, where do I start? Yeah. Why not? Why not have a sleepover? That'd be great fun. Oh God, there's so many jokes in there as well. I love it. But you know what, Tim, you're tapping into a really good energy there about doing things differently. You know, I just say I look around this world and I just see potential. And that's not being smug or condescending or trying to be clever. I genuinely mean it. I see potential in our churches, our centres, our movement, our mediumship, our congregations, the people who come in. There is just so much potential because a lot of the old... I don't like this term about woken up. It starts dragging in some of the other connotations of it of, well, if you're not thinking in 5D, you get left behind. And I'm just thinking, well, I've never heard anything ever in spiritualism or in the divine essence about leaving some people behind. I'm sorry, that just, to me, is a total nonsense. So, but there is, we've got a damned hard world out there. You know, if you just took stock of everything today, of what's happened in the last 3 years, and just really, really sort of like engage with all that, everything within the world, within our health, within politics, within our very life energy. It's been flipped upside down. But in that, it has removed a lot of our old, as I say, I don't like the word woken up, but it does fit it. We were in a bit of a stupor pre-COVID. It just carried on and on and on. And oh my God, it's Christmas already. How did that happen? How often did we say that? But suddenly now, everything's changed again. As I say, from me, my humble perspective, I just look at and I just see possibility and potential. And one of the hardest things I have to deal with running a church sometimes is when I see potential in people and you really give that encouraging hand and it's not met back by the same energy and it's just let slide. It took me quite a while to understand how to manage that energy. But yeah, we have got potential out there. We have got all these possibilities to do different things, to approach and engage. Talk about with Paul, we use the 3 E's. We educate, engage, and encourage with people, and the ways that we can do that. So, yeah. Thank you, Tim. Minister Kim, good evening, my darling. Minister Kim, who will be with us in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah, 2 weeks today. You do that in Torbay. You'll have to remind me what you do. So, where else are we? Libby the healer. Suggest change and comes out a battle cry, but we've always done it like this. Yeah. And again, we've got to look at the structure and the ethos of our committees and, what are we working to? What documents are we working to? What was the guidance that your church or centre was set up to? And are you following that, or is it still relevant to today? Just mean we don't like change, do we, Libby? And once we've got in the groove, no, don't change it. It's working. Leave it alone. Sharon Louise Hobbs. There are some churches that are not forthcoming enough for the younger generation, even new people. They get ignored and then people don't go back. Some of the people are cliquey, and if you don't fit into that, then you're done for. There are some beautiful little churches around with some beautiful people. Sad spiritualism has an ego. The younger gen do everything online. Churches are becoming a thing of the past. Interesting, Sharon. Sorry that you may have had the experiences there about cliquey. But yeah, I get it. I've experienced it myself. Both as being a member of the congregation, also as a serving medium, would you believe? But again, just going back to the energy I was just touching on just before this about the possibilities, that are open to us to shake off these old shackles that are keeping us, holding us back, because we really are. We've been forced into evolution in our churches and centres, and things are only going to get harder and tougher and more tighter over the next few years. And if you're not out there and bringing in people of today's world, and from a business point of view, and sorry, we have got to look at it as a business as well, and maintaining that revenue income in 2 or 3 years' time, a lot of these places are just going to start falling by the wayside. Simple as that. But we have the ability. We've got the greatest resource in the world. We've got our connection with the spirit world. We've got to sit. We've got to understand. We've got to do what feels right, what we're inspired to do. and not run it from a place of fear or whatever. But yeah. I will disagree. Churches are becoming a thing of the past. They are not the provident, they are not the prominence they were of the past, but they are not done and dusted yet by any means. And I believe that where the dust will settle, probably, and we're talking more than likely here, 4 or 5 years of hardships coming up. And once that dust has settled, the ones who have survived, who have made their church or centre a thriving community, will stand head and shoulders, and they'll be so far advanced in that position to start the rebuild that is going to be required, because they will have, endured and survived what is going to be I'm sorry to be a gloom and doom merchant here, but you can't dress it up. It's going to be a damn tough few years, and it's going to stress and test everybody, everything that we know. But as for tonight's energy, we're talking about our churches and centres. But the ones that do survive, they are the ones who will be setting the trend, other role models for the future, because they are listening to their communities and they are doing the work of spirit. Tim Abbott, another positive about spiritualism is we have survived COVID and lockdown. People talk about small congregations since things have opened up again. I remember an old spiritualist minister telling me, always remember, Tim, one person is a congregation. Very true. Yeah, I agree, Tim, on the energetic level. Yeah, the smaller congregations, they are still valid. I had a little lesson today. I reacted probably in the wrong way to something that happened, and somebody said to me, who are you to talk like that to them? They may be very lonely. And I thought, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. So I went back and made amends. But yeah. Our whole service, we may give the greatest service of our life, or maybe even think we've just done the worst service of our life. But if we've touched that one person, we're doing our job. We are doing our job. Sadly, we need that revenue. We need that income to survive and keep forging ahead. Minister Kim Moore-Cullen, listening to you from an airport in Porter. Well, you didn't have to tell us that, darling, did you? You could have said, I'm down the pub, or I'm in the garden. But, oh, no, you've got to be at an airport. Well, lucky you, darling. Absolutely wonderful. Libby Bellhouse. The simple answer is yes, my darling. When it's organised, it will not be happening this year because the lady who is giving the training has personal issues that need to be resolved. Once she has, and of course, and Libby, I'm actually disappointed in you, Libby. Will the training to go into hospitals be open to healers from other churches? Libby, when has Paul Church ever dissuaded healers or people from other churches to attend our courses? Shame on you. The healing workshops here are phenomenal because, I'm a great believer of probably we may not be supporting our healers so well. And our healing workshops are attended by healers from other churches because our Libster is one. And yes, I should think so. Yes. Apology accepted, Libby. But yeah. And again, this is a nice example where we can cross-fertilize between churches. We've got 4 other churches with active healing, 3 other churches with active healing groups operating in them. And they all come to Paul for the workshops because we're doing them. And again, none of this is boastful or arrogant. It's just simply we're doing what we feel drawn is needed to do, and it's working. working. Anyway, everybody, I was a bit concerned, thinking I'm not going to find anything to talk about. An hour and a half later, I'm still rabbiting on. So thank you, everybody, for joining tonight. I hope you enjoyed just some of these thoughts. Apologies with not bringing everybody's comments in. I was just trying to keep up with the flow of the energy of the conversation. But yeah, very interesting. It is good to talk. It is great to go away and think about these things. And hopefully, where we are in the position to start bringing in cause and effect on what we do in our churches and centres, to go back and just, look at what we're doing, why are we doing it, why do we do it this way, could we do it better? So much. So anyway, thank you. Whether you're watching tonight or in the future, hope you found something in there just to stir. And as I said, we don't all have to agree at times, and that really is allowed. It is absolutely fine to have a different viewpoint and still talk to each other. So yeah. Thank you. Lovely comments coming in. Bless you all. What have we got? Oh, there we go. Tim. I love Tim in the room. He always brings in things great. There's a wonderful film called Field of Dreams, and there is a phrase, you build it, they will come. Tonight you build the space and gave us a platform. We came and joined you. Thank you, Tim. Thank you. I'm not really a Kevin Costner material, though, am I? No. Seriously not. Anyway, everybody, thank you. Wonderful evening. We will catch up again online. Don't forget meditations on Mondays and Saturdays at Paul Church. Our Lyceum Nights on the Saturday night at 7 o'clock, and our live stream services to view only on Sunday mornings at 11 and Wednesday afternoons at 3. So thank you all for joining in. I've enjoyed that. There's very interesting trains of thought coming in there, and a couple of things that I can take away and work on regarding what we do here at Paul. So thank you. You are part of the evolution. Have a brilliant night. Oh, here we go. Kim out there in Porto. See you soon. That quote has meaning for me. Brilliant. There you go. Well done, Tim. I hope you've had a lovely holiday, Minister Kim, and really looking forward to catching up with you in a couple of weeks' time. Sit and have a good old jaw. And Minister Kim will be on our Lyceum evening in a couple of weeks' time. How fabulous is that? Don't think I've actually asked her to do it yet. So, surprise! Have a wonderful night, everybody. Stay safe, stay sane. Lots of love, and we shall see each other again soon.